That's worship. Worship is the taking of something we learn about God, that God reveals to us about himself, enjoying it, and then expressing it back to God. And this is the delight of our soul. We're made for this. There's great joy in knowing God this way, and then worshiping God this way, to appreciate who God is. Take a look at the second one, God's omnipresence, that God is everywhere. And look at what the psalmist David does with this knowledge. Where can I go to escape your presence or your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I live at the eastern horizon or settle at the western limits, even there, your hand will lead me. Your right hand will hold on to me. Worship is relational. It's an appreciation of the presence of God wherever we go, whatever circumstances we face. God reveals to us that he is all present, and this is what we do with it. We worship God because of it. Take a look at this third, which is God's omnipotence. He is all-powerful. And the psalmist David then talks about how it is that he was created by God. For it was you who created my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I will praise you because I have been remarkably and wondrously made. Your works are wondrous. I know this very well. My bones were not hidden from you when I was made in secret. When I was formed in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw me when I was formless. All my days were written in your book and planned before a single one of them began. So what God does is he reveals his character to us so he can lift us up from our merely earthly, fleshly existence into a spiritual understanding, a spiritual awakening, not only to who God is, but to who we are as well. I love this last verse. It becomes very meaningful to me. All of my days were written in your book and planned before a single one of them began. How good it is to know that my future, our future, is designed by God, that even in the midst of challenges, that God is doing a work among his people. Take that theological truth about God for a moment and let's apply it to the circumstance we're facing right now, where we have been through great challenges and are just beginning to see. We're back in the sanctuary now, but we've gone through a really hard time. What is God doing in the midst of us? We can come to know it. An example would be we come to know that we have a building as an asset, but that's not who we are, that we are a people for the Lord that are not dependent upon our building. What a great joy it is to know that. I mean, the building is an asset, and we're glad that our worship is now open in our sanctuary again. I definitely am. But we're a people made for the Lord, not dependent. Perhaps one of the things that God has done for us in this time is he has delivered us from our own thoughts of dependency upon material things. And so we come to that knowledge of God's activity. We begin to ask these interesting questions because God has revealed his presence to us in a verse like, all the days of my life were written in your book before one of them came to be. And here's a beautiful part about the idea that we were made for worship. I want you to embrace this idea once again, that you were made for worship. God is eternal. You're going to spend the rest of your existence from here now through eternity learning new, incredibly beautiful things about who God is and his great and wondrous love for you. This never ends. Worship never ends. There's always something new to appraise about the God that we worship, the God who has made us. We'll spend the rest of our existence doing it. Today, what I hope for you is that you can understand what worship is. It doesn't begin with you. It begins with God as He reveals who He is to you. And then to appraise it and to give God worship sort of completes that circuit. And once we get that pathway open, God will continue to reveal Himself more and more about who He is, more and more about His love for you, about the world that He has created, and about our future together. There's great delight for the soul when we worship God. So let's take a moment and express our joy in who God is as we bring this teaching to a close in prayer. Let's pray together. Lord our God, we give you thanks that you have made us to worship you, to appraise who you are as you reveal yourself to us, and to offer our thanks, our praise,